What do you do when you have to cancel a contract? If you do as many real estate wholesaling deals as me, unfortunately, sometimes every single month, you're going to have that one deal where you have to cancel the contract. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to cancel a contract in wholesaling real estate, but most importantly, I'm going to show you that, but I'm also going to show you exactly how to save that contract from being canceled, how to save your earnest money deposits, and I'm going to show you some other tips on actually how you don't have to cancel the contract. And lastly, I'm going to give you the fail-safe worst case scenario if the deal is just not good, how you can still at least make $1,000 to $2,000 on every single contract that you have to cancel. So without further ado, before we get into it, again, canceling contracts, it sucks. I'm just going to be honest. When you get a deal, you get it on a contract, you get so uber excited and you're so happy to get these deals going. And unfortunately, something may arise with the property where it needs more work than you thought. The cash buyers are giving a lot less money than you expected. And unfortunately, some deals just suck when you put them on a contract, especially when you're doing virtual wholesaling. Maybe 20% of all the deals you just have to cancel and get rid of. When you're physically going to the appointments, I would say 5 to 10%. But overall, there's a certain percentage of these deals where you have to cancel the contract. So before we get into it, before I actually share how you can save these deals also, it's going to make you thousands of dollars. Please smash that like button and subscribe. Let's help this YouTube algorithm so we can help the Flip with Rick family here. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So we find a bad deal. What do we do? So let me give you an example of the last contract I unfortunately had to cancel. It was a complete mess. I ended up saving it, made about $2,000 from it, but the average wholesaler in that situation, they'd cancel it, they'll give their earnest money back, and that's it. But for me, I wanted a little more. I can't sit back and just accept the fact that I can't get my $5,000. I just can't accept the fact that I have to cancel a contract and hopefully a wholesaler go in there and try to get the thing done a year later. So in this certain example, I had to deal with a property. It was a virtual wholesaling deal in the state of North Carolina. And I'm talking to this guy. It's a killer probate situation. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make $20,000. And unfortunately, I'm like, this is amazing. So I bring the cash buyer through and he goes to the property and he says, Zach, this thing is a complete trashed house. Like, I'm not going to pay you $80,000 for it. And actually, I put it under contract for about $90,000 and I was getting a quote for $80,000. So what I do next time a cash buyer gives me a bad price is I bring another cash buyer through. And that cash buyer quoted me $70,000. And I was a little utter shock that I was getting such low prices. I thought I had such a killer deal. I could sell this thing for $120,000, $130,000 and the plumbing was all bad. There's leaks everywhere. The roof was just caving in. It was a complete mess. And the seller really wasn't being that truthful with me. And honestly, he wasn't really near the property. He really didn't care about it. So I went back to the seller after the second cash buyer and I really told him, like, John, I'm really sorry, but this property needs so much more work than when you told me. You never told me really about the roof problems, about the plumbing issues. And unfortunately, when we looked at it, it just had all those issues. I'm going to need to buy this house for around $45,000. And he just gave me utter shock. And he was just so shocked by that. And I thought, you know, he's going to come back with me at maybe 60 and I can make some money, right? He said, no, I cannot accept that. You're definitely going to have to stay at 80. That is the minimum I'm going to take. I'm not taking a penny less. So I was in a situation here. What do I do? So the average wholesaler, they just cancel the contract and they get their earnest money deposit of like $100 back and they walk away. Me, I'm still trying to make some money. Come on, I worked way too hard. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this deal, and I want to get my money, right? Like, that's the point of us wholesalers, right? So I go look at them, and I know if I bring another cash buyer, they're going to offer me maybe $75,000, and honestly, I'm not going to make any money from that. So I'm not going to take a penny less than $90,000. So basically, what I did was I reasoned with him, and I said, I don't know if I can buy that price since you're stuck at 90. And he said, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And so what I basically decided is I could either cancel the contract and that's it. So talked to my cash buyers. None of them wanted to go up in price. The actual seller, he didn't even want to take 75 or 78. So I at least made $2,000 from an assignment. He just said no to all of that. So what I ended up doing was said, okay, John, I can get out of this contract if you want, but what are you going to do with the property? And he just basically explained he'll put it under contract with another investor. And I said, I basically told him the whole loop-de-loop around with there. And he knew he couldn't do that. So why are you stuck at this number? He said, well, a realtor told me $120,000 is what I could sell it for. So I told him, you know what? If I got this property listed for you for $120,000, it sells for that, I would 100% get out of this contract with you. So let's do this. What if someone on my team lists the property with you, and if it sells for $100,000 or more, then we'll just sell it for there. If not, I can buy it for $70,000. Is that a deal? Then he said, yeah, that's a deal. That's fine. So I used my realtor's connection in North Carolina, put it on the market for $100,000, and it sold for like $95,000. And honestly, he was okay with that. So ended up selling it for $95,000. And honestly, I could have not even sold that. Probably might have been able to sell that for 92, maybe made $2,000. But that's what happened on the market. The realtor did that. We split the commission, and I ended up getting like $1,400. And I honestly saved that deal. So that's a situation where I actually saved the deal while canceling the contract. So it's an interesting story. And after that deal, I really thought to myself, I'm like, this was a really interesting and valuable lesson that I think a lot of people can learn if I get behind the camera here and actually talk about it. So that was it. That's how I saved that deal and made money doing it. So that's how you make money canceling contracts. But let's bring it all the way back. How do I actually cancel a contract if I just want to cleanly get out of it? So what is a real estate contract when we really look at it from a wholesaler's perspective? Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax professional. Don't look at me for any legal advice. I'm just a real estate wholesaler like you, just trying to give all my information out for free. So a real estate contract, a purchase and sale agreement like the one below in the description, you can just download your free copy if you want. It's basically a legally binding agreement from a seller of a real estate transaction and a buyer, which would be me in this case, where we both put into writing that I'm going to buy this piece of property for this amount of money. And it's legally binding. I can go to courts, file memorandums, and really try to get this thing closed. But in a court of law, it does have standing. Some states, you need to have an earnest money deposit, which is basically a down payment. Also, basically stating that, yes, I'm looking to buy this piece of property. I've put money down. I'm legally and financially ready to close. So usually I do $100. That's my average earnest money deposit. And that is what I do it really for the off-market properties. Again, sometimes I'll do $1,000 if it's an insanely great deal. But overall, I keep it about $100. And when you're dealing with properties on the market, sometimes you have to do $1,000 to $5,000. But I like to keep it at $100. And in that contract, especially the free one that I have, there's something called an inspection period or maybe a due diligence period. And during that period, it's basically an out for the buyer, staying within 30 days. If the buyer has an inspection and something's not up to par, the buyer basically can get out of the contract with whatever reason possible. They can do it because they don't like the color of the floor. They think there's an anthill outside the property that they don't like. Basically, within an inspection period, the buyer has an out within X amount of days. And usually I like to keep it at 30 days. So legally, within that period, within the 30 days, I will get my $100 back from the title company if I put it into writing, or I basically give notice to the seller that I'm out of the contract within the 30 days of the inspection period. And that is the out for us. What if I get out of the contract on the 31st day? I'm going to lose my earnest money deposit. Now it's $100. Again, $100 is a lot of money. Even if you're a billionaire out there, $100 is still $100. You know, if you find $100 on the ground, you're going to pick it up. Even if you're going to give it to charity, you're still going to pick it up. It's still a pretty penny. So overall, you want to make sure that if you're canceling a contract, you make sure you do it within the inspection period. Always write it for around 30 days and don't give more than $100. If the seller requests $500 and it's such an insane deal, then do it. But, you know, when we start getting the 1,000 plus range for a wholesaling earnest money deposit, it's really not worth it. So that is the worst case scenario. The worst possible thing when you put a property under contract is you wait on the day after the inspection period and you lose $100. Not the end of the world, right? You didn't lose your fortune. The world's not ending. You didn't lose $100,000. So that is the worst case scenario if you cancel the contract during the bad timing. So don't get all freaked out. The seller is not going to sue you for $500,000 and then they're going to garnish your wages at your job because you canceled the contract. I know a lot of people get freaked out over this, but truly around the country, that's basically the worst that's going to happen for you. So the process when we actually cancel a contract is we have to give a written notice or a notice where basically if a judge, worst case scenario, comes to court and says, Zach, can you show me proof within the 30 days that you try to cancel this contract with the seller? And you think you have to get a notary with a nice formal declaration of cancellation of a contract. No, it's not all that crazy mumbo jumbo. There's nothing crazy legally you have to do to cancel. What I do is a three-pronged approach. I give the seller a call indicating that, no, I can't meet that price expectation. Or are you willing to take a reduction? And if they aren't willing to take a reduction on the price, then okay, fine, let's get out of the contract. Mr. Seller, I'm going to get out of the contract. I'm within my 30 days from my inspection period. I'm really sorry, I can't actually close on this property. I'm sorry, I'm getting out of this contract. So within 30 days, you make a call. What I do next is, so this is actually written, so it's basically on paper. It's very easy to track. It is actually just text them and you say, Mr. John Smith Seller, this is Zachary Ginn. I am getting out of the contract. I'm within my 30 days of my inspection period. Have a great day. Thank you. And then what I do lastly is giving them an email. Make sure you get an email from them and then email them that too. So there's no excuse that if they say, I never got the cancellation from Zach, I'm keeping my earnest money. You had that three-pronged approach where you get your earnest money back. Now, saving the deal. Now, if you want to save the deal, what I do always recommend is, let's say, for example, you get a property under contract for $100,000 and you're really excited. You think it'll sell for 140. You're super pumped up. You're going to make all this money and you bring the cash buyer through and they're telling you like 80,000, 70,000, 65,000, and you're going crazy. So always, when you're actually in the situation where you put under contract for 100 and the cash buyer tells you $70,000 and you freak out, what I always want you to do is don't instantly cancel the contract. If that happens, bring in another cash buyer. Some cash buyers are very greedy and they'll give you such a lowball offer because they think they're the only cash buyer, and they know other cash buyers will probably offer you 110 or 120. Some cash buyers do this. This is the ugly truth in this wholesaling business. What I do is bid it up, get another cash buyer through, and if that cash buyer gives you like 70,000 or 65, then you know you might have an issue. And obviously, when you're walking through the property, it's a lot worse than you ever expected, then you know you're probably going to have to get a reduction from the seller. And after the second cash buyer, what I do is I'll request a reduction immediately. And that's simple as just phoning up the seller and just saying, hey, John, hey, Sally, I'm really sorry to say this, but I really need to get a reduction on the price here. I didn't know about X, Y, and Z on the property. And I'd say about 60 to 70% of the time, if you have the correct rapport, you can easily get the reduction from the seller from there. And if they say yes, then you just get the reduction from the seller for whatever price you want. In this situation, I'll probably get it for like 55, sell it for 70, make $15,000. But if you're in a situation where they say no, what I would do is bring one more cash buyer through, say this is your inspector from the one last thing. And if they aren't really willing to give you a price, let's say 102,000, 103,000, then you know you got to get out of this contract. They're not accepting a penny less. Call back the seller and say, I really got to get out of this contract. I'm really sorry. And then you do the three-pronged approach on that. Then say, I still want to help you sell this property, and really deep dive into why their price is stuck at that. What if I could list the property for you? And if they say yes after that, which most of the time they actually do, find a realtor in your market and ask to split the deal with them. It can't really be a percentage, but it can be a flat fee. But 3% of $100,000 is $3,000 divided by 2 is $1,500. Some realtors are going to say, no, that's illegal. You actually can't get a percentage off of someone's commission. But what you could do is get a flat marketing fee. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. Do not take me or whatever I say as legal advice, but you can legally do this as a marketing fee. But don't quote me on this. You're going to have to find an investor-friendly realtor that is willing to do this, and no, they won't lose their license from doing this if you do it correctly. So always seek a real estate attorney if you have a realtor willing to do this, if you want to pay a real estate attorney for it. But again, don't do it from percentage, do it from a marketing split standpoint. And that's it, guys. So the process, one more time to recap everything, is we get the contract, we bring the buyer through, the buyer gives us a low price, then we bring another buyer through who's going to hopefully give us a better price. If they're both at really low prices, then we're going to try to get a reduction. If we can't get the reduction, we're just going to try to list it. If we can't list it, then we're just going to give them the three-pronged approach. Again, we're going to give them a call saying we have to cancel it. We're going to give them a text and then an email, and then we're out of it. We're going to go to the title company, state and show that we did it within our 30 days, pick up our earnest money deposit, and then go on to the next one and still keep hammering our deals. So that's it, guys. This is Zach Ginn again with Flip with Rick. I truly appreciate you guys watching this content. Daily videos coming at you every single day this year. I'm so excited to keep bringing you this. And honestly, I just want to give you free, valuable content. So thank you guys so much. Again, smash that like button and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Have a blessed day.